Hello and welcome everyone to the Mindful Running podcast. Today we explore a CXO's running journey. CEOs don't just make time to run, they feel running is a cornerstone to success in all areas of life. Researchers looked at companies led by CEOs who had run marathons and found that they had greater value. Running has a positive impact on stress, cognitive functions, and job performance. Fitness plays an important role for CEOs as their jobs are characterized by frequently changing demands, far reaching decisions, and high stress. A physically fit CEO makes a financially fit corporation. Our guest today is Tiger Tyagarajan, CEO of Genpact, a global professional services firm delivering digital transformation solutions for clients. Genpact has more than 100,000 employees and annual revenues of 4 billion US dollars as of December 2021. Tiger also counsels and collaborates with C suite executives of large global corporations, helping them drive change and improve competitiveness. So I'm very excited to get Tiger here on the Mindful Running podcast, and we have 1 hour with him. So feel free to ask questions. Welcome, Tiger.
Soumya, hi, great to be here. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for taking out time for us.
No, it's a topic that is near and dear to me, so I'm glad I could.
Yeah, and I think no, has anyone ever spoken to you about running in the interviews that you've ever given?
Not at length. I think there's been references to, things like running. Um,
Right.
that's always been there because it's one of my core passions, but not at length.
Yeah, thanks again, Tiger. So without wasting much time, Tiger, why don't you just tell us about your running journey? When did it start? Before you became a CEO, after, and why? Why did you take up running?
So it actually started maybe about 12 years back. So this goes back to around 2010, 2011. It was just before I became CEO. It had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
And I was looking for the right um, uh, mechanism to stay fit. I'd reached the age of 50. Uh, about 2011 is when I became 50. So I realized that actually more and more it's important to keep your mind and your body incredibly active. And walking and running for basically forever makes a big difference. So I decided I will, and simultaneously, I realized that I could measure a lot of things uh, during a walk and a run. And I'm a metrics geek.
Yeah.
I like everything to be measured. And then simultaneously, I moved back to New York from Gurgaon. And I think the combination of coming into New York, living in New York, the fact that I could measure everything, and the fact that I was searching for something that that allowed me to, kind of burn calories and toxicity and everything else that happens when you run, got me onto it. But it was a very slow start in 2010, 2011.
Right. And like you said, it's been like what, 12 years now. And it must have been a wonderful journey. So, with your busy schedules and your extensive travel, running is something that you love. So how do you balance it?
So, if I were to generally look at my typical day and week, I would say I do spend time reading and listening to topics outside of work. And one of the things I found a way is to marry that with my run. The moment I found a way to do that, I just, for me, it is, you know, highly productive, if anything, double productive. I enjoy listening to various podcasts and audiobooks and music, depending on my mood, during my run. And then obviously I'm running. So that combination has worked out over the last 10 years brilliantly. So obviously I've now become a big listener of podcasts. I'm a huge podcast fan. I listen to all kinds of.
Yeah. Yeah. And why don't you like tell the audience, what kind of music do you listen to and how does that help in running?
So I've actually tried all kinds of music. I generally like lots of different genres of music, but I guess it wouldn't be a surprise to say that the music that I like the most during a run is hardcore Bollywood music, with a certain rhythm and beat that matches the rhythm of my run. And I actually find that when I run while listening to music, Bollywood, fast music, uh,
Yeah.
my time is about 10% better than otherwise. When I'm listening to a podcast, it's X, and if I'm listening to music, it's 10% better.
Yeah, I think it's just the beat, and that basically keeps you going like every step with every
Yeah,
beat. So that's interesting, especially the Bollywood music. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a little trivia to know about you. Yeah, and Tiger, like we all, I mean, most of the listeners today are runners. No matter how difficult it is or how stressful the day has been, we all just get out and run. What has been your joy of running?
So in the company that I'm the CEO of, and in Genpact, and in my job, I travel a lot.
Yeah,
Obviously, the pandemic I didn't, begun my travels, and my travel takes me to countries and cities all over the world, to meet clients, to meet my teams across the globe. One of the joys of running that I have discovered over the last 10 years is in my travel, when I am in a city and I have to go for my run, then I discover the city. I've discovered Tokyo, I've discovered Bucharest, I've discovered Budapest, Guatemala City, Mexico City. Um, I don't think I can say I discovered Bangalore or Gurgaon, or because I just don't find it easy to go out for a run in cities in India, because there I go to the gym. Um, but in most other places, I go out for a run, and I've discovered cities. I discovered sites. I typically go to a Google map, find a good place to go to, and then I say, okay, to run there, how long will it take? And I kind of time that in a manner that I can complete my run, and that's it. And the other interesting thing about the way I run is I do not chart a particular course for my run. I just figure out what my destination is, and then I say, take me there. And then the Google Maps starts telling me, the turns to take to get me there. Once in a while, something else attracts me. So I take a different turn. Instead of turning right, I go left deliberately, knowing fully well that at some point in time, Google Maps will adjust itself and say, okay, now you go here. But in the meanwhile, I've actually discovered something else. So for me, discovering cities is what, and the countryside, when I've gone to the countryside, has been the joy that has opened up because of running.
yeah, nice. And maybe the next time you're here in India, Tiger, you need to get out on the streets and run, but that has to be really early in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you
but,
should
but I
do that
also
next time.
but I also prefer temperatures of, I'm still in Fahrenheit mode, even though I'm in London right now. Uh, Temperatures between 45 and 70, 75 for my run. Anything above 75, I just don't like. And that's a problem again in India, which is temperature always above 75. So,
Yeah, and I think that is what gives most of us the joy in running because the more you sweat, and
oh,
the
believe me,
more hardship.
I've run at minus 20.
Wow.
I've run at minus 20, obviously not snowing, but minus 20 in the absolute cold in Central Park. And after 90 minutes of that, the first 20 minutes, you feel really cold. And then the last hour and 10 minutes, you're warm inside because you're sweating inside. You layer yourself up, 4 or 5 layers, um, and therefore you're actually warm inside and you start sweating inside. So when you come home and you take off your layers, your inner layers you've sweated it out. You just
Yeah.
don't feel it dripping because it's all gone before it even drips. So
Exactly. And I will just like, I remember one of the marathons I had participated in, and I was very nervous because the start line was going to be like shivering, and you have like an hour wait before it actually starts. And being practicing in a place like Gurgaon, you're all ready for the heat, but cold, you really don't know, except for probably 2 weeks in January or December. And someone told me that, it's good that you shiver at the start line because then you will have a comfortable run. If you're already warm at the start line, you're going to have a very hot
yeah,
and humid run. So it's a good thing because, like you said, you can warm up and stuff, depending on how much you run.
that's right.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah. So, Tiger, tell us something about the runs that you've done, any events that you've participated in. Which one has been your most memorable one?
So I don't participate that in that many events. The ones that I have participated in are all in New York. They're all half marathons.
Yeah,
I've never run a marathon. So it's the in New York City half marathon itself. It's the Staten Island half marathon. It's the Brooklyn half marathon. So I've run all of those. And again, for me, it's not about winning because obviously I don't run that fast. For me, it's about just the participation, just most often with a group of people. So you're with the group. Most often they are faster than me, so they all run ahead. But in the end, we finish together. It's a great day. You feel really energized by watching 50,000 people running,
yeah,
and 500,000 people cheering you. That is a sight. I mean, to have 500,000 people cheering you as you run is quite something through the streets of New York. So those would be very memorable. Um, I haven't had a chance to run competitively any other place. What I've done is actually pretty interesting. In Chicago, San Francisco, Sydney, Boston, I guess these cities, I have run the route that the marathon and half marathon runners are going to take
got it.
3 days
Yeah.
later, 5 days later, etc. Because I was in town just before the half marathon or marathon, and I said I'm going to take the same route, and I've acted as though I'm running in the marathon or half marathon.
That's interesting, and that's a good idea. I mean, it you just happen to be around,
Yeah,
in those areas, so why not?
yeah, yeah. Actually,
Yeah, we have.
every half marathon and marathon, every marathon, because I don't run the marathon in New York City, the TCS marathon, I actually run the the prior morning and evening on Central Park, because it's all done up. It's got all the flags. It's got everything is set, but the park is still open for running. And I run and I behave as though I'm running the marathon and I'm finishing, and then I take photographs of myself, etc. So it just makes you feel that you're part of that community that's running on that day, the next day.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. I haven't heard that before. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good one. We have a point here, Tiger. There is a comment, can't help but notice that you're wearing two watches. Why is that? Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I didn't notice that.
very, very acute eyesight, whoever made that comment. So one is an Apple Watch. The other one I got introduced to by a couple of people recently, about 2 months back. It's called Whoop, WHOOP.
Okay.
It's a device that actually, again, measures heart rate, temperature, lots of things. As I told you, I'm a metrics geek,
Mm.
and it connects to your iPhone. And the most important thing that the Whoop does is that it measures the strain your body is being put through during the day, and
Hmm.
the recovery that you're getting when you sleep at night. Basically, it uses heart rate and time and REM sleep and all of those things to metricize that. What I like about it is that you wake up in the morning and it tells you you've had an 80% recovery, which by the way is great recovery.
Yeah.
If you get 65% recovery, that's fantastic, but consistently. But if you get 80%, that's great. And what it then says is you can strain your body because your body seems to have rested really well. Because here are the 7 metrics last night: HRV, heart rate, body temperature. What else? REM sleep time, percentage of deep sleep, percentage of this, percentage of that. And it says, you rested really well. Your recovery is 80%. Go strain yourself. And when you strain yourself a lot, it measures your strain. And it says you can strain yourself up to 18 today on a scale of 21. You say, okay, I'm straight.
Wow.
Or you wake up in the morning, you think you've had a good night's sleep. But I've had the device tell me you actually did not have a good night's sleep. So don't strain yourself today. And you wonder why. And then you realize actually that you have a temperature.
Oh.
I've seen that happen. Or you just don't feel good in the morning, even though you slept well. What it does is, what it tells you is that a bunch of these sensors that's picking up a bunch of signals is able to create a pattern that then says how good your body is to tackle the next level of strain, and recommends to you. I mean, this is classic AI machine learning at work.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, just the details that you get about yourself. Don't you think like sometimes it's like, I don't want to know?
Oh, I want to know more.
You want to know
I,
more?
I believe that in about, I don't know, 2 to 3 years, 5 years maybe, but certainly in that 5-year time frame, you are going to be able to, through a combination of devices, I think the Apple Watch is going to get there in a variety of ways. But you have things like Whoop, you have this ring that you can use to measure, you
Right.
have patches that you can use to measure. I think you should be able to measure, which by the way you can do even today, sugar levels, glucose levels, how much adrenaline is pumping through, what kind of hormonal situation you are in, all kinds of things. How much stressed are you feeling? All kinds of things that presents you with all the data that allows you to take a better decision. I mean,
True.
I think the ability to measure real time lots of things in the world, including in this case the human body, and present it to a person for them to take a considered decision,
Yeah.
is so great. And then if you have objectives, the other thing that it does
Yeah.
is, so I have objectives. I have objectives
Right.
on speed, distance, steps, calories, you name it, and I have it. I have an objective. And I have graphs that I can plot. That is 10-year graphs on all these.
Wow.
Right. And if you have a 10-year graph that plots a variety of these things, you kind of see progression, or you see, times when it actually didn't make progress or it actually declined. So as an example, 7th of March or 8th of March, Genpact switched to work from home in 2020 across the company. So I switched to work from home, and I ran the company from my apartment in New York. Starting that day, I realized that I was not going to be able to meet anyone. I was going to be alone at home. Actually, my wife was in India at that time, so I was alone at home. And therefore, I said, I need to have something else to do. So I said, I'm going to increase the amount of time I spend running. So I doubled my steps in
Oh,
1 week.
wow.
So if you see my graphs, there is a step function change that actually says pandemic began, lockdown began.
Oh,
It
wow.
went up. So all my metrics improved, and my weight declined, and my overall health improved. And then you see not a step function change, but a slight decline starting August, September of last year. when actually the
Right.
pandemic started receding, I can see the decline because I was beginning to go out and I was beginning to go out for dinners and I was beginning to
Right.
travel. So so it's fascinating. The ability to watch metrics and see trends, etc., is fascinating.
Yeah, and actually, I had never thought of it in so much detail. But again, so much to learn from this conversation, really, because on one hand, that I would look at metrics as a thing, but not do so much analysis into it. And on the other hand, I would be like, what if it kind of upsets me? I don't want to know. There's too much information available, But it's a very interesting point you've made, and probably some more in depth thought to this. And I will start tracking my metrics better, especially the sleep part.
Yeah. So being upset is there's nothing wrong in being upset. Um, Being upset is step one of a multi-step process that leads to motivation to improve.
Right.
So if you're not upset, how can you improve?
Yeah.
If you're not,
True.
if you're not, if you're not feeling you can do better, how can you improve? So
Yeah. We have a very interesting comment, Tiger. I think it's about when you spoke about your pandemic time and how your fitness improved. No wonder you're a tiger.
yeah,
Yeah, and we have Anandita saying that I'm getting inspired to do the New York City half marathon. I keep looking for the NJ one before.
yeah. The half marathon in New York City, the one that actually is worth probably getting into first is the Staten Island one. It's on 9th of October. Um, so that's a good one. It's a little easier to get into. The
Right.
New York City half marathon, unfortunately, you still have to go through a
The
lottery,
lottery.
or you have to qualify big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right. And Tiger, what really motivates you to get out and run? Like you said that you can run anytime in the day, whenever you have free time. You have so much going on. People usually picture a CEO's day as chock a block, very hectic. So what? I mean, no matter how much you slept or how your day has been, what makes you get up and just get out?
actually, many things, Soumya. So first is that any day that I miss my run for whatever reason, I'm not as fully in the work that I do. My body is not as tuned in. My mind is not as alert as the days I run. So clearly, for the same reason that you're asking the question, how can you find the time? It's the reason that I find the time because it actually helps me do what I want to do better. So that's one. Two, um, it's my Zen time, and given the work that I do, I need my Zen time by myself. It allows me to think. It allows me to do things outside of work. It allows me to listen, as I said, to podcasts. I don't listen to any podcast related to my industry or my work or anything. It's all different. And it gives me that feeling that I am in a different zone that then gets me ready for the other zone, which is work zone. The third is I'm motivated by metrics. As I said, I have goals. So I have calorie goals and I have weekly goals and monthly goals and annual goals. And making progress against the goals is a motivation. So you can't make progress unless you get out and take the steps. Part of the topics I have listened to consistently over the last 6, 7 years are topics around how the human mind works, the brain works, the evolution of the brain and genetic
Wow.
evolution, and and cosmology and evolution of life beyond Earth, etc. But one of the things I have studied a little bit more than normal is how does running change the levels of hormones and endorphins and the adrenaline, and what happens when and how, and what effect that does have on genes and on the way cells behave and on aging. And if you know all that, then I think putting that to use is when you run, a lot of those move in the right direction, and they actually increase the chances of living longer and living a very healthy life, and and enjoying the life that you live.
Yeah, and very well said, Tiger, because what people see running or any form of exercise is like an extra thing to do. What they don't see is it's a part of the work that you do, because there
Yep.
is a correlation between running or any form of exercise and your work day,
Yep.
and vice versa,
Yep.
right? So people need to look at it as a complete thing, not that I need to exercise and then I'm going to get late to work or whatever.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
one
By the way,
thing.
I'm a foodie. I love my food. I love all cuisines. I love eating everything. I mean, I just love it, and I love my wine. Um, so if I want to continue to, be indulgent in what I eat and enjoy my food and wine, then the motivation is okay. You got to run. Uh,
Yeah,
and that gives you the freedom to indulge in the food and the wine, because so that's another motivation. So I have a lot of motivations to run, so it's not
that's
one.
true. And that's awesome. I think you're inspiring a lot of people who've actually tuned in. Some more comments, Tiger, I'll just put them up. We have Ryan saying, Tiger, we need to now have you join the North Pole Marathon.
The North
And
Pole Marathon. I've heard of that one.
yeah, and we have Anandita saying, will you be running the October 9 Staten Island half again this year?
I have signed up, and I hope to be running it. We'll see.
Nice, very nice. We have Ajay asking, based on your keenness in metrics, you should try the Aura Ring.
No, I've obviously studied the Aura Ring, and clearly a great option. But I don't know why. There was a couple of things that I thought the Whoop was better, which is why I ended up buying the Whoop. Um, so yeah, it's very similar to Whoop on many
Right,
directions.
right. Yeah, going back to the North Pole Marathon. Yeah, have you like thought about it
No,
ever,
no, no.
like
I
as a
know, I
passing
know.
thought?
No, no, no. I know a couple of people recently uh, who've run it. I think Ryan knows who I'm talking about, and it's crazy.
It's
Uh,
crazy. I've seen videos. Yeah.
I wish I could actually do it, but no. I think no. You got to be really ultra fit to do it. Um,
Yeah, and also train in those conditions, I think people
yeah,
kind of imitate those conditions in closed warehouses, put
yeah.
treadmills, and
So you need
actually,
to you need to you need to create those types of conditions, both in terms of the rarity of the air at times, and as well as the temperature and the chill. So it's a lot of things that you have to simulate to practice before you can say I can do it. No, that's just too
one
much.
is, yeah, and one is that, and the second is it's super expensive to
Oh,
actually
okay.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, but I can imagine going to the North Pole.
it
Of course, it's
is.
expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, we have Rama saying Gurgaon is also great for running. Next time you're in Gurgaon, we can organize a run from Genpact office on Golf Course Road.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it's possible, but you have to be very early in the morning. I really worry about speeding cars and you know,
Early in the
discipline.
morning and in January, in the month of January or December.
Yeah, early in the morning, month of January, December, when visibility is so low. That's not 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 a. It feels very dangerous to me.
Yeah, true, true. Um, Tiger, another thing is like, when you're running, I mean, you've done so many half marathons. When you're running, things don't go as per the plan. There would be obstacles that would come along the way, and there would be energy that you would drive from the crowd. So it could, just go either ways. So, how has running probably impacted, improved, or taught you, helped you in your leadership style?
So I think again, deep, the deep thought is that Um, as I said, metrics do matter. Um, Progression against set metrics and goals is a great way to make progress against anything. Um, so, one of the things I do is while I'm listening to the podcast, my app constantly keeps telling me what's my speed, what's my distance covered, what's my heart rate, what's my this, what's my that on a regular couple of minutes basis. Um, and I think what I find interesting in that is that it constantly keeps me up to speed on where am I headed. That's not
Right.
that different from running a business, running a project, trying to deliver a value to a client, etc. So there are many aspects of that. The other thing is, um, running teaches you grit. Running teaches you persistence. Um, Running teaches you that if you have 10 or 11 metrics that you're monitoring, on a particular day, some metrics may not go right, but some other metrics are going right. So, take joy in the ones that are going right, figure out why the ones that are not going right, and then try and fix those. So the next day, some of those metrics also change. So it's again a metaphor for so many things about leadership and
Yeah.
running a business and so on that that I actually think, which is why I kind of incorporate it into my life as part of my overall life. There's no separate thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's just one body with one brain. It's the same brain at an event or a run or a half marathon, marathon, and it's the same brain at work. So
Yeah.
there is like so much similarity and learnings that you can derive, like you said, the grit and the perseverance from each
It's pretty
other.
clear. It's by the way, and this
Yeah.
is this is some of the things I've learned in my podcast listening from absolute experts in the world. It's pretty clear that if you consistently kind of exercise broadly, which is burn calories and improve your cardiovascular rate, etc., then the what happens in your brain is it actually slows down aging. What happens
Yeah.
in your body is that the cells actually slow down aging because a number of other things either accelerate or slow down. Um, your learning ability increases. And if you increase your learning ability and you use that learning ability, then the neurons that fire in your brain fire more regularly and more longer than otherwise, and therefore you're actually postponing dementia or Alzheimer's and so on. So lots of things like that have been proven very clearly on direct impact to through the body into the brain and from the brain back into the body, and the two are obviously one. I mean, I'm speaking like a panpsychist now, but panpsychism
No,
basically says
absolutely.
there is just one thing, which is the brain and the body.
Yeah. And Tiger, like the days that you, I mean, just if you can share some examples with us on probably a bad day at work and how have you applied the principles from running into the workplace?
Hmm. So look, I mean, lots of things in life are marathons. And a marathon is where you sometimes wonder whether the person who runs the fastest in the first mile is going to be the winner. We know the answer to that, probably not. Lots of
Yeah.
examples where actually that's not true. So one of the
Yeah.
things I look at my metrics is my last mile in the half marathon. I don't run marathons that much.
Yeah.
In the half marathon, the last mile from mile number 12 to 13.1, is that at the same pace as my first few miles? And the more consistently I can keep my miles and the speed the same, to me that's not that different from in various business situations. How do you think about the long term, and how do you pace yourself in that long term, and how do you deliver that long term value, rather than chasing the next new thing, gives you a short term benefit, gives you a kick right now, but it's actually going to peter off, and it's like the sugar burst that actually
Hmm.
goes away. And that's, you're not going to finish the race, you're not going to win the race. So I have a deep belief that many topics are about running a marathon, and the first mile of the marathon and the last mile of the marathon, it should be run at the same speed.
Yeah, true. Don't get out too excited, you know, and just maintain that pace throughout. And what I actually do, Tiger, is like, I mean, for all of us, like running half marathon, 5K, 10K, depending on where the person is in their running journey, it can be overwhelming. So,
Yeah.
not to actually think of it, right from the start and do it step by step. And one line that really resonates with me every time is till the next tree, till the next pole, till that person, basically run the mile you're in, you know. And as you progress the distance, it actually becomes the next person. Forget the tree, it's just the person in front of me. Just tail that person, and that's it. So instead of looking at it at the whole distance and getting overwhelmed by it, step by step, break it down into probably smaller goals and achieve them.
No, I agree, and I think that's part of the reason why I listen um, from my app on the progress I'm making, because I want to make sure that my progress is what I thought it should be for every mile. My speed every mile is what I thought it should be. So you're constantly listening to the progress you're making, and saying, okay, this is working.
Yeah. And like you said, Tiger, like going back to the earlier part of the conversation, you started running like 12 years ago. I mean, metrics then and metrics now, you must be able to kind of see so much of
Yeah.
change in all
Yeah,
these years. I mean,
I started using the polar heart sensor as my core measurement device. Uh, I very quickly, through a bunch of my readings, came to the conclusion that speed, distance, calories, just take those three examples, are not the most important metrics. The most important metric is heart rate. And once you get your heart rate at the right zones, then everything else follows.
right.
So so I started using the polar heart sensor, and then some years later graduated to the next version of the polar heart sensor, and then next version, and then finally ended up with the Apple Watch, and now I have the Apple Watch and the Whoop. So it's been a journey. And yeah, right. Initially, the metrics were limited. Now the metrics are much more detailed and much more granular and much more accurate, actually.
Yeah. And who knows what's going to happen like years down the line? Like, a few years down the line, what happens? Will we see you wearing three watches?
No, as I said, it'll be. I mean, it's. I think it's going to be. Uh, a lot of things are going to get incorporated into the Apple Watch, in my view. I think that's
Hmm.
feels like Apple's strategy. Who knows? Um,
Yeah.
but there'll be other. I won't be surprised if there are other devices and patches. I mean, after all, at some point in time, Elon Musk is working on Neuralink, which is basically embedding a chip in the human brain, and then it'll be a man and machine together. So,
Gosh.
or a
Yeah.
cyborg, which has some combination of humans and machines in the body.
Yeah, I mean, we are going towards interesting times, really. Yeah, I will just take in some comments, Tiger. So I think when we were talking about running in Gurgaon, there were some comments then. Um, we are daredevils in Gurgaon because we have no choice. You know,
Right, that's true.
traffic, pollution, rain, humidity, everyone's just out.
Oh, I've heard that what's it called? The Leopard's Trail. There is some,
There is one leopard trail. Yeah.
yeah, Leopard Trail. A number of my people, a member of my team, have told me that I should run that. So I will one of these days do that. I believe it's really good.
Yeah, it's nice. There are a lot of nice places to run, Tiger.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
sure. I'm sure some of the listeners are going to be saying, "Yeah, Leopard Trail is very good."
Exactly. Yeah, we have Apurva saying, when you're totally exhausted physically and emotionally mid run, what do you tell yourself or do to keep going? Or do you never go through this?
We all go through it. It's actually pretty natural to go through physical and emotional. I'm not so sure about emotional exhaustion. Um, I have to think whether that's happened. Unlikely. Physical exhaustion, yes. Um, so one of the things that I believe in is, and I guess particularly at my age, that you have to listen to your body. So
Yeah,
if you're feeling really exhausted, then do not push yourself. I'm not a big believer in just push yourself. Listen to your body is what I believe in, and therefore, if I know that actually I'm unable to push myself today, I don't push myself. I walk. I do a lot of walking as well. So when I say run, for me it's often run, walk, run, walk, run, walk forever.
right.
It's not just running. So to go from a 50-50 split on run walk, it's easy for me to go to 80 walk and 20% run. Not a problem. And I don't worry about it. I just do it. Um, so what I'm very careful about is pushing beyond a limit on not feeling great, because that's dangerous. And actually, most accidents, most things that go wrong, most things that people ignore are because they're not listening to signals. So I'm a
Yeah,
big believer in looking and understanding signals, and
right.
some of them are the signals your body is giving you.
Yeah. Thanks, Tiger. Um, we also have a comment. That's a wonderful lesson to be learned. I think this is talking about the first mile and the 12th mile. From running for leadership quality, think of the end in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. There are lots of people who often ask the question, what is more important, the destination or the journey? Um, so I think it's important to imagine the destination in a vision in your mind. So think about it. Then think about the journey,
Hmm.
and then be in that journey, so that you can enjoy the journey. Um, but actually, what you most enjoy is not the destination or the journey, it's the company in that journey. So life is neither about the destination nor the journey. It's about who's with you on that journey. So it's the company in the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I
So
mean, that's
running with
nice.
people makes a
Yeah.
big difference. Running alone versus running with people. So some of my best
Yeah.
runs have been when two or three of us have got together and run. The times are better. You just feel better. I think you run more, harder. You're stretching your body more. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And it also builds community, right? I mean,
yeah,
one is, the sense of just a few friends who you run
yeah,
with, but slowly the group becomes bigger and and bigger, and you don't know who you inspire along the way, and how it just makes this big community. And then when you go for a run, like you said, people cheering, people don't even know you, but they are there
yeah,
at the same hour early in the morning and cheering you, probably taking your name, looking at the bib or something, and there is something that pushes you harder towards the finish line. And I think some credit does go to the crowd and building communities. Yeah.
that is true. That is true. Yep.
Yeah. Some more comments. Tiger, I'll just put them up. Tiger, his is very right, because the right rhythm of your abilities is the best speed of your age. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. So, Tiger, that's I think people have been quite enjoying our conversation. A lot of runners, non-runners. What message would you like to give to the non-runners and then we will move on to the runners. Why should
So I
someone
was
take up running? Yeah.
so I was a non-runner 12 years back.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, I I wasn't. I mean, I'm deeply interested in all kinds of sports. I follow all kinds of sports. I watch a lot of sports, but I don't play sports. I've never been a sports person from a playing perspective, and I've also not been, physically very active and running and so on. So when I started my first few weeks, I think I ran half a kilometer. That's it, in the streets of New York. I couldn't do anything more. I was exhausted. I was panting for breath. So, so I think from that time to continuously measure, stay the course, have goals that are incremental goals, but keep improving. To now, I can run 20 miles, without a problem. So it is. I think a big lesson is, doesn't matter if you haven't done it before, doesn't matter. And by the way, another thing, as I said, I actually don't run continuously. I run, walk, run, walk.
Yeah.
And when I started, that's what I did. 'Cause I couldn't run. So what happened was, half a kilometer, after about 200 meters, I was exhausted. I mean, I was panting for breath. So I stopped and I walked. And then I said, okay, I think I can run a little bit more. So I ran. And then I stopped, walked, ran, stopped, walked, ran. So once you do that, and you do that consistently, basically my minimum heart rate went down consistently. My
Yeah.
maximum heart rate went up. My capacity went up. Everything went up. And I could run more and more. And it just became a natural progression, which I actually watched happen in front of my eyes. So it was fascinating.
Yeah, actually, it's quite fascinating because, like you said, everyone starts with that obstacle, right? I can't do it. I don't think running is for me. I can't run for 5 minutes at a stretch, and so on. And how you basically just keep at it and keep improving. It is fascinating when you look back and you remember that first half a kilometer that you ran, and
Yeah.
now, I mean, there is so
Yeah.
much potential inside the human body that you actually push it slowly, step by step, and you don't know where you can reach. So yeah, I think for the audience, it's not about today you have to run a half marathon.
Yeah.
It's about taking small steps and starting now, having a good impact at work, being more productive through the day, and being healthy with all the metrics that you spoke about, Tiger.
Yeah. 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 No, I don't know. Um, I don't know if what path life would have taken if I hadn't stumbled onto running.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So, yeah, Tiger, anything else would you like to tell our audience, even the runners around, people who are 5Ks, 10Ks, moving up? Any message for our viewers?
No, I think this is a great, interesting topic in itself. I also like the combination of the word mindful and running.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's a good, and it's a and I think people mistake something like running to be a physical activity. I actually think it's primarily a mental activity, and
Yeah.
it uses the body to actually engage in a mental activity. Um, the primary is actually mental, and
Yeah.
uh, and therefore, how much you can run, how far you can run, the motivation to run is not based on what your body can deal with. It's actually what your mind is telling you to deal with. And the question, therefore, for all of us is, how do we push our mind beyond its current limit and discover new limits? And that's what something like running teaches you.
Yeah, wonderfully said, Tiger. And it's actually just so that people know that no matter how fast you run, no matter, if you look at all these people running in the Olympics as fast as they can, everyone is struggling. Everyone is battling that mental game, to basically get ahead, because beyond a certain distance, it's all in the mind. And that is something, like you said, it's physical, of course, but it's mental more beyond a certain time.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, One last comment, Tiger. Shashank says, I have learned to go out with zero expectations. That has really helped me keep my mind and heart calm through my runs.
Yeah, it's a great one. That is a great one.
Yeah, a lot of people go right that I'm going to clock this much time. I'm going to be doing this, and then you just get, disheartened. So go with zero expectations and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Right.
We have some more comments coming up. Tiger Raj says, how do you find the balance between overexerting and pushing your limits?
Again, I think the combination of watching the metrics and watching signals from your body. So I think at various points in time over the years in my run, if I have ever felt that there is some niggle in some portion of my leg, I do not. I stop running. I just walk, and I'm very comfortable with that, because what I don't want to do is exacerbate that, and I've
Yeah.
not done that. So that's one. Watch the body carefully for signals, and the second is you have devices that watch the body, so listen to those numbers. So, I mean, for me, when the heart rate reaches a certain point, I know that beyond that, it's very, very difficult. And I know that I get into a zone where, I'm really panting for breath. So then I say, why do that? I'm not here to prove anything to anyone.
Right.
So don't cross that, because every time I've crossed that, I felt really, really exhausted at that point. So don't cross that. Having said that, I think the other point that he's making is, but you still want to push the limit, right? And raise the
Yeah.
bar. So
Yeah.
that's the trick. I mean, like everything else in life, everything is a double-edged sword. What is great is also not so great. It's the same thing. You just have to find the continuous. So it's not find the balance. It's find the continuous balance. Because in the first year or so, my balance was half a kilometer, 1 kilometer.
Yeah.
Uh, 5 or 7 years back, it was 10 to 12 kilometers. Now it is 20 kilometers. So you find the right balance. Um, there was a point about a year into the pandemic, I was actually, some of my fastest runs were at that time. Now my speed has come down, but that's fine. I know that was a very special event when I was so fit. I wasn't traveling, etc. It made it very different. That's not going to happen right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when people kind of get into this whole peer pressure thing and, want to outperform each other. So Shashank again says, never be trapped in FOMO. Just do what your body is telling you. Exactly, you need to do things for yourself and not others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks a lot, Tiger. And it was great having you here. I'm very, very grateful that you took out this time from your busy schedule and made time for us. I'm sure everyone's inspired and motivated. Whoever is not running will probably start running very, very soon. And whoever is already running will do all the metrics that we spoke about. I think no one has really gone into so much detail about it, but it was indeed a very, very interesting and good conversation, Tiger. And on a lighter note, maybe people who've tuned in, if you're applying to Genpact ever, do not forget to put in your running experience. Yeah. So probably, everyone should just start. It has only benefits and nothing else. And know where to strike that balance and do not overpush yourself. So thank you, everyone. And have a great week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.